the floor.
I became a fan of Steven Wilson in 2015. A lot of people were posting on several vinyl communities I belong to on Facebook his new album at the time, which was Hand Cannot Erase. The cover looked interesting. I said, who is this? Who's this guy? What album is this? And everybody was like, oh, that's Steven Wilson. He's progressive rock. They sparked my attention by saying progressive rock because I'm a bit of a prog head. And I looked it up on Wikipedia. I looked him up on Wikipedia immediately. And then I looked up the album. And they called the album a concept album. Well, you sparked my interest there. That day I went to the local store I go to, and I bought the CD and the vinyl edition of that album, and I just became hooked. And then I bought the 5.1 surround mix of the album, and then I was like, where have I heard this name Steven Wilson before? And I dug out my King Crimson 40th Anniversary Edition CDs and saw that he did the 5.1 surround mixes for King Crimson. I was like, oh. So I became a fan of him, as well as his 5.1 surround mixes that he does for himself and his other artists. And I just thought this guy is a force to be reckoned with. And I developed a sort of man crush for him, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Him and Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, two of my man crushes. So when he announced his new album, and he said it was going to be a smart pop album, I was excited. Some people were like, here it is on CD, to the bone. Here's my vinyl copy. Still awaiting my 5.1 surround mix on Blu-ray, Amazon. But he called it a smart pop album. And some people were kind of leery of that. Smart pop album, what are you talking about? And as soon as people mention pop music, they immediately think the banal pop music. And he has said that. In the press release to the Bone, he has said that he's referenced 4 albums. Kate Bush's Hounds of Love, which is a great album. It's one of my go-tos of Kate Bush. Talk Talk's The Color of Spring has my favorite Talk Talk song on there, Life's What You Make It. Peter Gabriel's So, a classic from Pete. And Tears for Fears' Seeds of Love, which he's actually just completed a 5.1 surround mix of that album. And so he put those point of references for people, and which I'm glad he did. Because when people were talking about this being a pop album, the second single from the album he released the video for, and people are like, Steven Wilson is selling out. He's selling out. Well, it didn't sound like anything I ever heard of on the radio right now. Steven Wilson selling out would be him doing a duet with Katy Perry. But what do I think of this album? It's the best album I've heard this year. This is probably my album of the year. This right here is definitely my album of the year. And when he's talking about a smart pop album, it's a progressive pop album. Let's put it like that. The title track, such a driving chorus. And this is probably his most political album. Not overtly political like, let's say, a Roger Waters album is. He's doing it in the form of characters. And some of his best writing out there. I mean, he's always, even in his overtly prog stuff, he's never forsaken harmony. He's never forsaken melody. Yes, there is virtuosic playing on The Raven Who Couldn't Sing and Hand Cannot Erase, but he still has melody. That's important. Here, he gets it right down to melody and the core of the song. The title track is still 6.5 minutes long. And even the song Detonation is over 9 minutes long. But he pares his stuff down to the essence of what it is. So it still has smart lyrics, as well as great playing, great harmonies, but it's concise. What he calls a smart pop album, not dumbing it down. And if you've heard any of the tracks, and if you haven't, I urge you, go right now and look up Pariah, the finest song he's ever written, and probably my favorite song of this year. a discovery he made with Nanette Tayeb. She is such a powerful singer. And I kind of compare this song to Don't Give Up from Peter Gabriel So. She complements him so well with her powerful voice to his sort of gentle singing that he does. And it pushes the song to a sonic climax in the middle, the instrumental section. It is, especially with headphones on, it's a brilliant song. Brilliant song. Overall, this album is great. The one song that people were really controversial over was Permeating. It is probably the most poppy he has gotten. But again, it's not like anything I've heard on the radio. He has cited the Beatles as pop music. He has cited ABBA as pop music. And it's probably his most ABBA-esque song. But the chorus is straight out of Jeff Lynne and ELO. And yes, he was smiling in the video. But it's a brilliant pop song. He's not known for positivity. Well, here's a positive song. But there's still a darker edge to it. Sonically, the album is brilliant. And again, it's an album to be listened to from beginning to end. There really isn't a concept like Hand Cannot Erase, which has a narrative to it. Or The Raven Who Couldn't Sing and Other Stories, which is a series of short stories involving the supernatural. That's why he got Alan Parsons to engineer it. But this is a brilliant album, a brilliant smart pop album, and it's paying off for him. Finally, he's been called the most successful artist you never heard of. And it debuted in the UK at #1. In America, we're probably a bit slow, but he still has his cult here. I'm going to see him in May of next year, and I can't wait. And if you haven't heard of Steven Wilson, you need to get this album. If you've already got the album, I know what people are saying. Oh my gosh, I was scared of the poppiness, but now that I heard the album in the context, everything in the context, I love it. This is a great album. It's definitely one of my top albums of the year. Steven Wilson's To the Bone. Highly, highly, highly recommend this album. Get it on CD. Get the vinyl, which is 45 RPM. And hopefully, if you've ordered the 5.1 Blu-ray, it'll come to you in the mail soon.